Piyush, and welcome to the About Her show. This is a show where we get trailblazing women to share the story of their lives with us, to tell us about their struggles, challenges, ups and downs, and how they have fought all that to, break barriers to fulfill their dreams. But then
Hmm,
we realize that women cannot do it alone. If we
hmm.
want a truly gender inclusive world, then both men and women have to be allies in this journey. And therefore, we get men on the show to have conversations with us around how they think we can move towards a gender inclusive world. And of course, we want to
Hmm.
build a community of like minded people, people who think that this is the need of the hour and we need to work together towards such a world. So, a very, very warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Sangeeta. Thank you for having me. And I really appreciate you taking on such a niche topic. And in today's era, I think that's a need uh, for someone to speak out on these topics.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm glad that you are giving me an opportunity for speaking on this.
And I'm glad you're
I
here.
hope I hope I genuinely add some value and would meet the objective of today's podcast.
I'm sure you will. So, all right. So starting as an icebreaker, so could you go back, to your childhood and your formative years to tell us how you feel the experiences that you had at that time shaped your personality and made you into the person you are today?
Okay. So I think we all agree that uh, childhood is our best phase of life for everyone. There are no responsibilities, uh, no one asking for anything, no accountability, and we are just living in the present moment.
Yes, yeah.
And I think, and luckily, we had no social media in our times, no phones, no gadgets. So I think it was a happy experience, just living in the present moment, going outside, meeting friends. So for me also, I think more of sports had a big influence because my father was also into a lot of sports. I
Mm-hmm.
started with playing chess at the age of maybe 8 or 9, and I
Okay.
think that had a big impact on my formative years. I
Mm-hmm.
think even today, I would give a lot of credit to chess for uh, marginally increasing my thinking power, and
Yeah.
uh, that has helped me. And also, apart from chess, we used to play cricket, volleyball in school as well. So I think sport has been a big part of my formative years, and that has shaped me today who I am. I'm very competitive, and even today, I don't play chess or cricket, but I do play tennis every day. So
Okay. Okay.
uh, sports has been a big part of my life.
It is actually, I
Yeah,
think people who are into sports, there are so many things that you learn when you're
yeah,
part of sports. I mean, whether it is discipline or it is time management, it is your fitness. And if you are into a
mm,
team sport, then how to be with, other
yeah,
people, all of those things you learn from sports.
correct, correct, correct,
Yeah,
correct.
that's a
Yeah,
very important contribution it has. So,
yeah,
Piyush, if you were to look back on your life, of course, you must have had women around, maybe, of course, your mom and then aunts and
yeah,
teachers and
yeah.
cousins and siblings. So, were there any lessons, life lessons, that you picked up
Hmm.
from those women around you?
Uh, Obviously, and I think I would, if I have to talk about the biggest influence, I would talk about my mother because uh, I think my mother and my father both had their struggles, and especially my mother had, I mean, grave struggles. I mean, I can't even imagine surviving those.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, her father died at the age when she was 5, and she had two siblings. And her mother, my nani, was not very educated, and she had no job.
Mm.
And I think they were living out on rent, and they had no money even to pay the rent. And at one point, they were even thrown out of the house. And uh, uh, I mean, it sounds like a Bollywood movie, but actually, the landlord had come and threw out all the items and belongings without any notice. And I
My
think
God. Okay.
uh, it was too dark for me even to listen to her stories, and so still she managed to survive. And
Mm,
uh, the lesson I learned from her is firstly the value of education. She couldn't pursue it because she only studied till 9 and she had no money.
mm,
She had to start. She and her siblings had to start working at the age of 10, all of them, and
okay.
no education, no money. And this is one thing she taught me, that you need to have education to survive in this world, and I'm glad that that lesson has been there. And secondly, it's all about hard work. I mean, you cannot again survive just on education. You need to work hard in this world. And I
Absolutely.
think hard work and education are the most important things that I have learned from my mother.
Yeah, that is actually so, so true. Education gives you that foundation. And then
Yeah,
without hard work, you can't do anything. Anything you need to
correct,
do, the dedication,
correct,
commitment, hard work, all of those are so, so essential.
correct, correct, correct.
Again, I want you to think about it and reflect and go back. And if you think there has been ever a time when a woman's point of view or a perspective on anything, changed your outlook. Like we all have, we believe in certain things. We feel that certain things happen in a certain way or they are supposed to happen in a certain way. Sometimes somebody comes and changes our perspective. So has that happened with you with reference to a woman?
So I won't go too much back in time. I would like to talk about my wife
Okay.
to answer this question on
Mhm.
changing the outlook. And so again, so my again, this is a sensitive topic, and my wife actually by birth had a problem in her leg. So her one leg and her foot was shorter than the other one because by birth, because of some complications. And at the age of 16, to cure that, she had to go through a surgery known as alizar,
Okay.
where they cut your bone and they split it, and they uh, l- extend the length of the foot
Okay. Okay. That's a
and
good.
leg. Yeah. So even today, her one of the leg is weak and she limps as well.
Okay.
And when we were not married, before marrying, when we were talking and we were dating, so I asked her that. So she told me that she dances and she even goes for treks. And
Okay.
uh, so I asked her why. I mean, so I made an assumption that if one of your leg is not 100%, why do you want to take the risk? Why do you want to dance, or why?
Mm-hmm.
And I think she gave a good answer, that I don't look at it as a limitation. I It is what it is, and I cannot stop enjoying my life or stop doing things I love just because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. I don't need to dance like a professional dancer. I dance because I feel like dancing, because I feel like expressing, and I enjoy it. I do trekking because I enjoy the thrill. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter how my leg is. And of course, I came from a perspective of concern.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I think that changed my outlook. That and I was not a life coach as well at that time. And
Mm-hmm.
it was just a wake up call, or something changed about the outlook of looking at things, or
Yes,
at looking at the limitations. And I
yes.
think that was a big uh, change in my outlook.
I'm sure because you
Yeah,
see, when we see somebody who has some kind of a limitation, we make assumptions.
yeah,
We
yeah, yeah,
we in
yeah,
our heads we start thinking, okay, they probably cannot do this and they shouldn't do this. I mean,
correct.
that is our assumption and our point of view. But yes, they
Yeah,
don't have to. I mean, if that person has the courage and they
yeah,
want to do something, the strong desire, they will go ahead and do it. So yeah, I mean,
correct.
kudos to your wife, and of course, definitely it's bold and courageous, really.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So Piyush, when we look at the world around us, and especially when it comes to women, There are a number of stereotypes. People believe
Mm,
certain
mm,
things that women can do this, they can't do this, should do
mm.
this, shouldn't do
Yeah.
this, right? But sometimes, in fact, most of the times, you realize that it's not necessarily true. If you're given a chance, a woman can also do it if a man can.
Yeah.
So, thinking on those lines, what is the most absurd misconception that you've heard about women, and how did you deal with it? How did you debunk it?
So the most common or absurd, of course, stereotype or whatever you call it,
Hmm.
is that women are not good managers or women are not good leaders.
Okay.
And I think that that's a completely incorrect assumption, because there are so many examples where women have been a better leader than men.
Yes.
For instance, Angela Merkel, who led Germany for so many years, almost 16 years, if I'm not wrong. And then I actually saw an analysis that the women prime ministers or presidents of whichever country they were,
Hmm.
those countries were happier. I
Hmm.
mean,
Hmm.
especially if you have to look at Nordic countries like Finland or Norway,
Norway, yes.
or countries like Lithuania, who
Hmm.
had a long history of women leaders,
Hmm.
even Jacinda Ardern of New Zealand. I think those countries who were led by women were more happier. And I think uh, even the companies like, let's say, Indra Nui or Kiran Majumdar Shaw,
Hmm. Hmm.
these
Hmm.
are great examples where women have proved that they are better leaders even than men. And I think that's a bad uh, perspective, that women are not good at that and women should maybe, of course, I don't see that stereotype in urban areas where we live,
Hmm.
but still in rural areas or semi-urban areas, I think still uh, people carry that perception about women,
They do.
that
They
they
do.
should stay at home and take care of family, and they shouldn't go out
But
and
you
have
see,
their own
if they
careers.
are, they don't realize when they are telling them to take care of the family, stay at home, take care of the
Hmm.
family, they're managing.
Hmm.
You have to
Yeah. Yeah.
manage everything. That is a sign of
Correct.
a good or a bad manager. If you're running an
Yeah.
efficient household, taking care of children, cooking, and everything, you are managing.
Hmm.
So you may
Yeah.
not be running a
Exactly.
country, but you're running a household, all the same. So
Correct.
I think somewhere they only kind of refute what they are saying,
Hmm.
what they are not letting them do.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So, many times, I mean, anyone can get caught in a tricky situation, where you don't
Hmm.
know how to get out of it. And
Hmm.
typically, when women get into such a situation, men have, not every man, of course, but largely men who try to solve those problems for them or get them out
Hmm.
of that situation, they fall into two categories. Either
Hmm.
it's that knight in shining armor, okay, I am here, I will take care of it, and I will do it for you because you can't do it.
Yeah.
Or there is another category of men who will look down upon women and say, oh, you couldn't do it because you're a woman. So, which category
Hmm.
do you fall into, or do you have a third category?
I think I fall in both the categories.
Okay.
I will explain it.
Yeah.
So being a life coach, I have to pass this hurdle every day. And
Okay.
if I have to tell you a statistic, uh,
Huh.
I have worked with almost 55 clients, and 53 of them have been women,
Oh,
right?
really? Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that is altogether a different topic. Why men don't want to seek professional help? Maybe they are too proud for it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
so when I'm dealing with women, I am dealing with this question which you asked, that do I be condescending and patronize them and tell
Mm.
them what to do, or make them feel that they are inadequate to make own decision?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that is a tough situation to be in. But then I have realized that even as a coach, I'm not allowed to tell anyone what to do. And with time, even after marriage, I think I have developed that empathy and that understanding that when women are talking about their problems,
Mm.
they are not necessarily looking for solutions. I mean, they are
Absolutely. Yes.
complete, they are completely capable of handling it themselves. It's just that they are sometimes looking for someone to listen,
Yes.
someone like a sounding board, and just to understand them and acknowledge their feelings. experience, I think. And if I have to tell you a funny story, if you have watched Modern Family, there is a specific episode on specifically this situation where a character named as Phil
Hmm.
uh, goes into a parlor where a woman is just treating her, giving her head massage, and that conversation happens on, and he asks, what
Hmm.
should I do? Because her wife calls in that situation and asks, because she is having a very bad day, and
Hmm.
uh, he starts giving solution, and she gets frustrated and disconnects the call, and then he asks, what did I do wrong? And all the women try to explain him that no, you don't need, she didn't ask you for solution, or she just wanted you to be there and listen to her. So
Yeah.
I think that was a very good anecdote in the series, and I think that I apply that even in my life coaching as well as in my marriage.
Hmm.
Now the second instance where I have to protect
Hmm.
is
Okay.
when it comes to my mother, because as I told you that my mother had a very rough
Yeah.
childhood, and so because of those experiences and those struggles, I think she how do I say it? She's very innocent, and she cannot, because of even low self-esteem, she cannot speak out, she cannot stand for herself, and uh, no matter what the world says that don't do this, don't do that, but I, at any cost, I would protect my mother. And even if I have to be a white knight in that scenario, or
Hmm. Hmm.
protect my mother, or tell her what to do, what not to do, or speak on her behalf, I would do that. And I think this is what it is, that you need to assess how you need to act based on the situation and based on the person. I
Yes.
think rather than making a rule कि नहीं ऐसा ही करो या
ऐसा ही
ऐसा ही
करो।
करो, I think
बिल्कुल ठीक।
that's better.
I think
Yeah.
that is a very, I mean, that's a very, very critical and a very valuable point that you have made. You
Mm.
cannot have one rule for everybody. Like they say that
Yeah.
one shoe size does not fit everybody. आपको
Yeah.
देखना
Yeah.
पड़ता है. You have to look at the situation, assess the situation. What is
Yeah.
it that the person is looking for? 9 times out of 10, women are only sharing. They are only
Correct.
telling you that this is what happened. They're not asking you to
Mm.
solve. But I think
Correct.
somewhere that protective instinct, which most men have, that takes over.
Mm.
That she's
Yeah.
asking for a problem. No, understand what she's doing and thereon.
Mm.
If she's asking for protection, then give it. You give the person
Yeah.
what you want. You don't
Yeah.
give them what you think they want. There is
Correct.
a difference.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 So yeah,
Exactly.
I'm glad, like you're one of the very few men who understands that. We need more of you.
Yeah.
So, Piyush, there is a phenomena which I observe around me. I am also, of course, party to it in the sense that I have a full-fledged career as an educationist. But coming into my
Mm.
midlife, I decided to take on more things. And while I
Mm.
continue to do what I was doing all these years, but I'm also now into writing and podcasting and, stuff like that.
Mm. Mm.
And then when you look around you, you do see, people taking on different careers, like a doctor wanting to go hiking or marathoning,
Mm. Mm.
writing, whatever. So, which I call midlife rebooting. So, what are
Mm.
your views on it?
Well, I am example myself,
Hmm.
because academically I'm a chartered accountant, and
Okay.
so I do have a job as a business consultant uh, from through my education, but and I do it on weekdays, of course. But because of my passion and my life's calling, I am doing life coaching, and I do it on weekends. And uh, whether it becomes a profession in the future or not,
Hmm.
that has to be seen. But I would continue doing it because it's my passion. And I think if people think that they have taken certain degree education, that there is no obligation that you continue in the same profession or you work in the same profile.
Hmm.
If you think that you are good at something, start doing it as a hobby, and
Hmm.
then see how it develops. If you find actual passion and that burning desire that I have to do it, I wake up on weekends to do it.
Hmm.
So if you find that, then there is no problem in pursuing it. it
mm,
doesn't matter what your education is. So I think people should actually pursue those. And in fact, as a life coach, I think that has been my niche, that people are not true to themselves. People don't have time to ask themselves that what do you like, what
mm.
do I want to do
Yeah.
in life, what is the purpose of my life. Is only education and building a career and making money, is it my purpose, is it making me happy?
Mm,
I
mm.
don't know. So if people don't ask themselves this, they will never find an answer.
Correct.
So I think that is what I help people with, because people need to know what they want to do, and then only they will find real joy, and they will then only they will live an authentic life. And
Hmm.
I think people like you and me, uh, who are brave to actually take that decision, I think more people should do that.
Yeah,
At
I
least they should start with a single step. I think then
yes,
they will know the rest of the path.
absolutely. See, until you don't try, you don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And like
Exactly.
you said, many times we, start our lives doing things that probably were, we saw other people doing it, or we were forced by our family, and we don't even know whether we are interested in that or not. But by the time you come
Correct.
to your mid
Hmm.
30s or say early 40s, you
Hmm.
start realizing that, okay, this is not all that I want from my life. I want to do something.
Hmm.
And by then
Yeah.
you're financially also stable as compared to your
Hmm.
earlier
Hmm.
years.
Correct.
So then you
Correct.
start looking around, and of course it needs courage. You're breaking
Hmm.
away from something, you're trying something new
Yeah.
at an older age.
Hmm.
But yes, you've got to
Yeah.
try. Till you don't try, you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. And there is always that cliched example of Sir Colonel Sanders, who started KFC at the age of
Oh
60
yeah,
or
yeah,
70.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we hear that every week on LinkedIn. So I think it may be a cliche, but it is true, right?
It is true.
He
It is.
started, he started it, and there are so n number of examples who started so late in their life. And I think people should just go ahead and take that step.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Piyush, if you could swap roles with a woman for a day, who would it be and why?
Oh God. Uh, mm, uh, on the top of my mind, I have, because French Open is going on, and I'm a tennis player and a avid tennis follower. I
Mm.
would say Iga Swiatek. So
Okay.
she is currently women's world number one tennis fan, and I would like to see how being a tennis world number one feels.
Okay.
And I
All
would
right.
like to actually play some other great players. So yeah,
Okay. So you love tennis and this, so you want to be like her and see how
yeah,
it is to
yeah,
be a champion woman tennis.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Great, great. So, a very obvious, trait of a woman's personality is her ability to multitask. Do
Hmm,
several things at one time. So, whether you are a working person or not, a working woman or not, but every woman kind of multitasks. Doing several things.
hmm, hmm,
So,
hmm,
if you look in your circle, so again, whether it is your friends or your wife or your mom or whoever it is, what is
hmm.
the most impressive display of multitasking that you have seen in your life?
Okay. So I'll be honest, I am not a fan of multitasking, and I
Okay.
don't even recommend any of my clients to do multitasking, because uh, in my experience, even I tried doing a lot of things at a same time, and it didn't work out. And uh, but of course, people can prioritize and do multiple things, but I won't call it multitasking. So
Okay.
now, if I have to talk about doing multiple things, of course, uh, both my mom and my wife have been doing that. So uh,
Mhm.
when my mom got married to my father, even my father's financial condition was not that good.
Hmm.
So she made sauces and papads and all that stuff, and she used to sell it to a hotel. So she did it for maybe 10, 15 years of her life, even after getting married. So,
Hmm.
and she used to take care of family. We both were there. My father's two sisters were also there, who were not married,
Okay.
maybe for next 3 or 4 years. So I think taking care of household and uh, contributing to the family's finances, I think that has been always there. And my wife, she's also a CA. She also works. She also cooks. She also takes care of household. But of course, I do, in my defense, I do make sure that I uh, I do a lot of houseworks which I have to go outside and do it,
Okay.
and also I cook on weekends, so that I support her
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
whatever way I can. So yeah, uh, I think every household has a woman who is multitasking. I don't think there are any exceptions to it.
Hmm.
Every woman is
Actually,
multitasking, even
women,
if she is not going out and having a career.
yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah.
she is still a multitasker, I would say.
See, the thing is, women actually, because of the societal expectations, also don't have a choice.
Hmm.
You have to do it. So there are ways, of
Yeah.
course, like you said, you prioritize, you maybe organize
Hmm.
yourself better, but there is no way that you
Hmm.
don't do it. And then if you pick
Yeah.
up work along the way, if you go out to work, then you still have to do everything. That's the way it
Yeah.
is. This is
Yeah.
what you want to change. That, like if
Hmm.
they are multitasking and doing multiple things because they have to, then if men chip in,
Hmm.
then to that extent,
Hmm.
the burden gets reduced.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the goal is the same. It's your family, your children,
Yeah.
everything. So
Yeah.
you're all working towards the same thing. All right.
Correct. Correct.
So, has there ever been a woman in your life who has outsmarted you completely?
Outsmarted me completely. Maybe an incident. If I have to tell, so for instance, when I was working in EY, I was sitting in my office and there were two other team members, both female, and they were junior team members. So I think we were just sitting and music was playing and I was just uh, singing the lyrics. So I think I made a big mess of the lyrics and they corrected me and I said, yeah, that's okay. I mean, everyone makes mistakes in lyrics. No one understands lyrics or no one knows the entire song.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So she said, no, we know a song. I said, no, how can you know a complete song of 3.5 minutes? Is almost impossible that you know
Mm,
complete song. And she
mm.
said, no, we know, we can challenge you.
Okay,
And so we bet uh, an entire meal.
okay.
So a party was on stake, and so they said they will sing, and so they, of course, I said that okay, your choice, and
Uh,
they sung "Perfect" from Ed Sheeran, and I was shocked that they knew every word, every beat, every pause of that song, and I was shocked. And even today, I don't know I can sing a song no matter what. I mean, even if I hear it for 1,000 times, I still cannot sing a song completely.
So we can't do everything. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So while we have begun to appreciate the fact that women have a very critical role to play in our society, and we've started giving them that appreciation, that
Mm,
acknowledgement, but still not every aspect gets covered.
mm, mm.
According to you, which is still the most unappreciated aspect of women's achievements in society that are still not being given, or rather, like I said, they're the most unappreciated aspects.
Uh, I think the most unappreciated aspect would be that women, I think they bind the society and they hold it together. I mean,
Mhm.
uh, it is intangible, but I think you imagine that there are no women, and I think there would be purge in the world. People would not be stop being civil. There
Hmm.
won't be any decorum, nothing. Uh, I think woman brings that, and woman, if you see, they always try to maintain the relationship no matter what.
Hmm.
They will always first try to keep the relationship intact,
Hmm.
and then if things get out of hand, then they will take their action. I think
Yeah.
uh, that is the one thing that holds together everything, and uh, we need that, and that is why it is intangible and it gets unnoticed. No one sees that as a job uh, per se, to hold a family together or to hold society together. So I think that is very underappreciated.
Very
So
well said.
when people lose a woman in their family, I think then they realize the importance.
I was about to say it. It is one of those things which, till the time they are there, you don't appreciate. You kind of take it for
Yeah.
granted. You don't notice it.
Hmm.
But the moment
Hmm.
the woman goes away, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
and all this starts
yeah,
happening, then you realize that what a great role
yeah.
you have played. Absolutely.
Correct, 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 correct.
So, is there any quote, an empowering quote about a woman or from a woman that you've got inspiration from?
Mm, Again, sorry, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
I am not a fan of quotes either because
Okay.
I feel that because quotes are just two lines, they tell you only one part of the story. I mean, and you cannot apply the same logic or rule for everything. So I think that is one inherent flaw of quotes, that they are one dimensional.
Hmm.
And people take it, problem is that people perceive it blindly. अरे इस आदमी ने ये बोला तो मैं हर लाइफ के डिसीजन में ये अप्लाई करूँ. So that is something which is very wrong. So
Hmm.
I don't follow a lot of quotes, but if I have to just answer, uh, I think one of the quotes which I recently read was from Amy Poehler, I guess, and
Hmm.
she said that uh, something on the lines of, if you can uh, dance without uh, worrying, and if you can dance and be free
Hmm.
uh, without getting embarrassed, you can rule the world. I think that was something which resonated with me,
Hmm.
and I think this is because this is what I stand for: freedom. This is what I stand for: individualism.
But that's true, because this is how it is. And like you were talking about people trying to apply it everywhere, I think like they say
Mm.
that, if you have to follow somebody, like they say कि नकल के लिए भी अकल चाहिए होती है, right? So you can't have like applied everywhere. You have to see where it fits and then apply
Yeah,
it. You have to use
correct.
your faculties and I think your mental
Mm,
abilities to know and decide where you can. Because quotes, I mean, I feel that they can inspire, but then you have to see
mm,
where you
mm.
have to use it.
Correct,
Isn't
correct,
it?
correct,
So,
correct, correct.
all
Yeah.
right. So, Piyush, that is the end of the main part of the podcast. And now we come to the fun part, which is the rapid fire round. Okay, so there
Oh,
are going to be 5 quick questions, 5 quick answers.
okay,
So I'm starting with the
okay.
easiest one. Any
Hmm.
favorite book or podcast of yours, considering your, coaching and all that, or whatever, it could be anything.
Favorite book would be Man's Search for Meaning.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So we move on to the next. So when you're coaching
Hmm.
people, you
Hmm.
meet all kinds of people, right?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
one way to deal with a client who thinks they know everything. There are people, no?
One way. Yeah.
Yes, deal with someone who thinks he or she knows everything.
I think those people don't even come to coaching. Hmm. See, if they think that they know everything, why would they seek professional? So,
Okay, that's what you think? All
uh,
right.
yeah, yeah. But to give uh, the answer in another way,
Hmm.
people do come with certain assumptions. They think that they know about this thing. They may not agree that they know everything, but
Hmm.
they would try to show their assumptions that I know about this thing. But
Yeah.
then, as and when coaching conversations go ahead, then their myths are burst and their assumptions are uh, broken, and then they understand it. ऐसा भी होता है. So, yeah.
Okay. वो बल्ब जलता है, light. Yes.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So
Okay.
actually, that is why in some sessions the people have shown their disappointment, that because when you are not used to a perception and suddenly that perception changes,
Yeah.
it becomes very discomfortable, and then they become defensive, and then they become disappointed, and then I have to just calm them down and explain them everything, and then they become okay, ठीक है.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Next one. What's your antidote for a bad day?
I just take a break. I just watch a movie and eat ice cream. That's it.
That's it. All right.
Yeah.
And okay. So if you had a magic wand in your hand,
Mhm.
what is the first life problem that you would like to solve?
I would definitely solve the problem of social injustice in the world.
Okay.
I would like all the people to be at the same level in the hierarchy of the society.
Okay. So the last question. If life is a game, what is your winning strategy?
If life is a game, the winning strategy is not looking at it as a game. I think I would,
Okay, okay.
or not looking to win. I think enjoying every moment, enjoying every point of the game. I think that is more important than winning. That would be my strategy.
I kind of agree. It's the journey, the
Yeah,
entire process which you need to enjoy rather than getting to that destination. Because I think
correct, correct.
when you get to the destination, it's like an anticlimax. कि अब तो हो गया, अब
Yeah,
क्या करें?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's a good
correct.
point. So, Piyush,
Yeah,
thank you so much. It was indeed very, very interesting and a delightful conversation because, like I said, that the objective is to have a world where everybody is given the opportunity to do what they want to do. Just because you belong to a gender or to any category for that matter, you should not be prevented from doing what you're capable of or what you want to. So, in that
correct.
endeavor, of course, we need, like I said, both men and women in the journey. So, the conversation with you is very, very insightful and, very heartening because you see
Yeah,
that, this is the fact that women need to be out there, has to be recognized by both men and women. And when men come and say,
yes,
acknowledge this, it's really, you feel very good and very positive about the whole thing. So, thank you
yeah.
so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Sangeeta, for having me. And I must say, I've been on few podcasts, and I think this was the toughest one because I
Okay.
didn't expect so many difficult questions, and I hope that I could answer as honestly I can.
Absolutely, you did. I think
And
you did a wonderful job.
thank you, thank you.
Thank you.